Good morning. My name is Sandra Santomauro. I come from Warsaw. I'm a psychiatrist working in a public health care for more than 25 years. Today I'll be presenting a paper on dream interpretation. This paper is the result of our clinical studies. At times, we must face difficult cases that present a serious psychopathological profile with no blatant psychotic alterations, such as in the case of reverse basic symptoms or the schizotypal disorder as defined by DSM. We use the term white psychosis, therefore, to refer to a quasi-symptomatic form of schizophrenia. Bloiner used to say that a negative finding which is not the result of lengthy observation is only proof that the illness does not exist at that moment. Eminent psychiatrists of the past, from Pinel to Janet, from Loiler himself to Sullivan, from Koch to Huber, have all dealt with white psychosis, referring to them in various ways. Nowadays, based on the diagnostic criteria of DSM, whose third edition no longer mentions latent schizophrenia, the personality disorder turns out to be the most frequent diagnosis for this type of clinical case. Convert highlights the affinity between the borderline disorder and schizophrenia because of an identity diffusion and primary defenses of a psychotic nature, in spite of an altered reality test. Post-symptomatic pathologies put many of our research tools at risk. In order to understand cases of white psychosis, the diagnostician should focus on interpersonal relationship rather than on the patient's cognitive capacity of behavior. Is there an instrument which allows us to discover the unconscious reality of others? We believe there is the interpretation of dreams. This study is based on two fundamental theoretical assumptions. Firstly, dreams are thoughts. As we cannot accept the existence of an unconscious reality separate from the body, nor a body devoid of its mental reality, thought is occurring also during sleep. Secondly, a dream is an authentic form of communication. The person relating the dream is telling us something. So it is, therefore, necessary to understand how dreams are formed and which method is best to be adopted to understand their deepest meaning. The idea that dreams express thought, laden with meaning, can often be found in primitive populations, in ancient Greece and Christianity. From the Enlightenment and post-modern wars, dreams were instead no longer believed to have a meaning. As they do not belong to the perceivable world, they were considered a nonsensical byproduct of the automatic cerebral process. We view dreams in a different way to Freud and other outstanding psychoanalytical authors. We believe, in fact, that dreams are able to reveal the eidos, the non-apparent psychopathological nucleus of white psychosis. The theoretical presupposition of our research and practice is known as the third theory. We will refer to this theory briefly to clarify how we view dreams and why they constitute a precious diagnostic and therapeutic instrument. In the early 70s, its author, the Italian psychiatrist Massimo Fagioli, began to explore the transformation of the biological reality of human beings at birth. The time when the specificity of humans, that is, the capacity to imagine, dream, emerges. Man has his first thought at birth. Prior to this moment, there is only biological existence. In dreams, when articulate language disappears, thought returns to being an image, just like in the first year of a person's life. Dreams speaks to us about the experience of interpersonal relationships and the movement of effects. Their interpretation reveals hidden truths, figures and human dynamics, which may be negation, annulment, but also intuitions. Negation deforms the representation of a psychic object, whether it be a person, an event, a situation. For example, a beautiful woman could be represented as an old, ugly woman. Through annulment, the object relation disappears from the dream representation and becomes non-existent. In the most pathological of the relation dynamics, because the dreamer makes a part of reality disappear, creating an internal absence. The psychotherapy room is represented perfectly. The artist has disappeared and his chair is empty. Intuition is an accurate unconscious relationship with reality, and the subject can capture intentions and qualities which are not immediately perceivable. The bold therapist will be represented by a man full of hair that is full of ideas. As for the method adopted to interpret dreams, we don't use free associations because we believe that the two types of thoughts, conscious and unconscious, do not speak the same language, and that the free associations do not allow us to reach the level of depth necessary to understand the unconscious. If a jolly words is a new language, once he has heard the patient's words, the psychiatrist makes a different image from the one described. Interpreting dreams is therefore a creative process which requires going beyond the literal sense of the words in order to grasp their deep meaning. In some ways, it can be compared to the creative process of the poet that strips words of their common meaning in order to create a new image. One need not to be an artist in order to be a psychiatrist, but one must be capable of engaging with an unconscious reality, common to all human beings, that starts at birth and goes on being in the first year of human life, which is without words. Now we'd like to present some cases from our clinical experience. The only diagnosable symptom of a 23-year-old patient is a series of panic attacks that during the clinical interview, different big symptoms relating to body perception emerge. The patient reacts by enacting avoidance behavior. He has, over the last year, withdrawn socially, and in the last 5 years, his weight has increased enormously. In the following dream, the patient communicates a fragmentation of the ego which is difficult to objectify at the conscious level. A widow field at night, one of those affected by the phenomenon crop circles. The air is laden with dust particles. The patient finds the statue of a sexless sculpture that moves and rises, and which begins losing pieces so that the patient is able to see inside. The putting pieces tell us that the ego is fermented. The initial relationship with the therapist, the patient proposes his early mother-son experience, made up of mechanical actions on the body, while all psychic reality had been totally annulled. The night air, rarefied as a result of the dust particles, brings to mind the ratropsychite of classical psychopathology. The weak, like negation, does not represent a nutritive element, but alludes to the presence of an extraterrestrial force and creates an atmosphere of intense anguish. The interpersonal relationship is a violent act that causes his identity to fall apart, exposing his fragilities. At other times, the image of the dream provides clear indication of how the illness develops and how it alters interpersonal relationships. The patient arrives at the age of 35 after having started a separation from her husband. She does not present any psychotic symptoms. She doesn't work. She sees few people. Even before the separation, she bends her face like flat on her back, looking at the ceiling or on the internet, engaging in role-playing games. She spends her days dreaming, which at times border onto an obsessive type of brooding. She does not present a negative symptomology, nor any cognitive dissociation. She dresses shabbily, is sufficiently clean. One can detect a certain awkwardness in her movement. After a few minutes, she recounts a dream. I took out a frozen soup from the freezer. After a while, I understand that it's a zombifying soup, but there are some people who are already eating it and turning into zombies. The zombies are after me. They want to tear me to bits, eat me and turn me into a zombie. I ran away and threw myself out of the window to escape them. Subsequently, she narrates a long series of dreams in which she threw herself from a window or a roof in order to save herself from other monsters. The dream highlights the fact that there is an unconscious reality of psychosis, in spite of the scarcity of symptoms. The soup represents a relationship with food prior to her weaning, or linked to her early childhood, which had been frozen and comes alive again in the relationship with the therapist. What emerges is a devastating anguish that the interpersonal relationship will lead to a cannibalistic situation with no way out. The only alternative left for her is an evidently psychotic one. In order to avoid being killed by others, she must kill herself. In conclusion, in what psychosis? We believe that the signs of pathology must be sought well beyond manifest behavior of conscious thinking. Given these, the real and proper diagnostic tool is the therapist himself, and with his own personal identity and personal training. It will become an element of a provocation of the patient's internal world, experience and effects. The therapist constructs his diagnostic sentences on the basis of his own unconscious reactions. The therapist's words pave the way to a content of knowledge, unlike the words that the patient uses to recount the dream. By interpreting, the therapist heals the fracture between an unconscious thought and the verbal thought of the patient, giving the dream image and meaning. The therapist stimulates the emergence of a new possibility of thinking and knowledge about interpersonal relations. In the dream, the images that bring to light the numb and drive toward others, causing an internal emptiness, are, in our opinion, the fundamental elements that become specific sign of psychosis, not unlike Runke, Pregapsgefühl, and Bleuler-Spalten. The element that welds together the pathological signs of the patient dreams to those described by the classical psychopathology is that they emerge in the relationship between patient and psychiatrist. This relationship, therefore, becomes fundamental because it allows us to formulate a diagnosis that is, at the same time, a therapeutic act. Dream interpretation is both a diagnosis and the first moment of treatment. So psychiatry becomes psychotherapy and, as Patrioli says, succeeds in overcoming the conceptual monstrosity of the diagnosis, which, having lost the subsequent therapeutic moment, acts as one man's judgment over another. Thank you. Problems. And the relation with others is help relation, not altruistic. The therapist have resulted his own enhancement by therapy. And we have put in research and therapy in Rome by Massimo Puccioli and Elisa Politi. We had to clear birth theory for being able to interpret dreams.
I may add this. We heard several papers on dreaming of the therapists as well, and of course you're very much interested in this dream, social dream metrics you're doing. But what we think, maybe I'm expressing also what Sandra said, is that we don't need our dreams in order to relate with the patient dreams. We have to have a formation of our own, which also includes personal healing. And we very much appreciate you mentioning that future psychiatrists quite often come through psychic problems and have clinical stories. We all, the whole group of us, we come from the therapy group, So we started all knowing our problems. And then we try to integrate our mental process that we are quite sure, I may say so, of our capacity of being in contact and doing relationship. So actually, we usually don't refer to our dreams in order to get in contact with the patient dreams. We just interpret them right away.
We are sometimes psychotic also in our dreams. So, the thing is that in dreams, thought is child. Singing, like psychosis. Thoughts and inner thinking.
In a way, it could be said that psychosis is dreaming away.
No. But that's a point here that we strongly diverge. You know, we have seen so many dreams. This collective analysis we all come from has been going on for 4 years by now, and there are 100 people telling their dreams for 4 hours. So we're so arrogant to say that we think that psychosis is not like the unconscious. And dreams can be psychotic and they can change, and people who had included psychotic dreams for many times then turn out to have dreams who are not psychotic anymore. So that is a strange idea. I know it's quite a strange idea proposing that the unconscious can be psychotic, it can not be psychotic. So there's also a categorical approach, if you want, to dreams, dividing between dreams who express something that goes wrong, if I may say so, and dreams who are intuitions on reality. And we observe that in our history, and we try to kind of trigger the same process in our patients' mind, that they eventually start out with horrible dreams who are full of violence and full of death and destructiveness, and then over years, but it's a long process, then the dreams change completely, coming up to the point that the person might say, I might do crisis, I might have bad days, but I'm absolutely sure I won't go into the ward for 8 months again, but not only because I control my behavior, but also because my unconscious thoughts have changed. And of course that would be a long chapter trying to give some example about this, but this is our experience, and we'd like to tell you more about this and confirm our experiences.
I think that's a very interesting idea that the unconscious might have a psychotic aspects and non-psychotic aspects. Do you have any ideas of just some criteria for how you divide it? Is it the persecutory dream, the fragmentary dream, that then changes into a more coherent dream? Or how do you discuss this criteria? I think this is very interesting.
May I just give you 3 short examples of Sandra? Three dream passages. For example, the first one I'm making up. The dreamer has a dream and she has a mechanical puppet in her arms. It's not a baby, it's a mechanical puppet. So we thought that the original idea was having a baby in her arms, you know, which means her first year of life, her being able to be in a confident relationship with others, as looking for this milk and tenderness and all this nice stuff. But it turned out, for disappointing relationships, I think, that the human aspect of the baby disappeared. It became a puppet. And even worse, and that could be really the cold aspect, a mechanical puppet. Not even, how do you say, tissue or something. It's really our mechanism, mechanical. Which is, by the way, very close to the Sandman story by E.T. Hoffmann, the Olympia figure or so on. Then, some time afterwards, the same dreamer dreams that she had a baby and she threw it into the bin. So that means she could now think that she could recover feeling and warmth in relationship, but then she still thinks that's not possible, that's not allowed, and she has to kill it, as young mothers do after giving birth. And the same patient, 4 years of therapy had it occurred, she had a baby in her arms. And I do think that this patient can have some more crisis, but I don't think, and I have to wonder why, she will never get back to the mechanical puppet dreams. So that's...
Yeah. I think we see that often in patients with severe traumatization, that they will have repetitive dreams of a psychotic nature, which then changes during this psychotherapy into something. Now they not only manage them, but they also change their identity, so anchoring in the dreams, and that's what I thank you very much.
I think as someone who's experienced psychosis, I have this real issue with the idea of psychotic dreams. It makes very little sense to me because I think for me, differentiating between psychotic and non-psychotic dreams seems quite sensible.
Is it a psychotic dream or not?
I find it quite offensive. It's kind of like, it's hard to formulate, but my dreams are an expression of how I feel, and they can be interpreted, but I want to interpret them. I don't want somebody else to tell me what they mean, and then it's the process of kind of thinking, what could that be? And the idea of someone differentiating my dreams as psychotic or non-psychotic just feels deeply wrong.
It's again labeling.
Yeah.
Dream A, dream B. Dream A is good, dream B is bad.
I always think that it depends on the relationship, because I've been a patient myself so many times, and I didn't live through it as it were kind of offensive, because I knew the guy who was giving me this reading, he was not telling me it's a psychotic. We're saying that here, we have to come out get a name to the thing. You know? But he certainly would tell me, well, there's a lot of coldness, and there's something in our relationship that exists, and you don't think it, you don't represent it. So this not representing things and getting cold, and somehow maybe getting also fragmented and depressed, there's a link to it, and I liked it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think the problem is when we gather together and we use words like psychotic and non-psychotic, we strip it of the personal meaning that Tom's talking about in his papers. And I know you might think that doesn't matter that we do that, but I think it's fundamentally something we need to look at, because the way that you describe it then is perfectly sensible.
It is really frustrating. Also, now we are on the other side of the board and we're doing the therapist job, you know. But I think we have the feeling we can say very frustrating things. For example, here you're getting almost human, you know, or here that's rather depressed. You don't seem to have that much of self-esteem. And if the relationship is, yesterday someone used the word respectful, it's not used, it's not lived as an offense. It's frustrating though.
Thank you very much.